Setting up. Give me a minute. Settle in. Figure out what we're listening to today. Okay. It is November 18th, and we are going to start sketching. This is day 2 of sketching whatever Pinterest serves me, but I'm going to curate it a little bit more than I did yesterday because yesterday I felt like, I don't know, it was a weird one. And we're trying to make it not a weird one. So this, what you're looking at on the right side above my camera, is a bunch of pins that I grabbed over the years. This is like 219 images of just like interesting figures, interesting environments. I try to grab stuff that's not like. Let me show you something that I feel like is antithetical, because there was one in here that I was like, why did I grab this? Oh, this one. So like this one, the thing about this pose is that it's not good. Like, you're never going to draw this in a comic. Like, no one's ever going to do this. So it's like, why did I grab that? It's not useful. So it's probably worth unsaving that. No. Oh my god. And now it just shifted everything around. How do I unpin? No, I don't want to download. Oh my god. Never mind. We'll deal with that later. But yeah, so I try to grab stuff that's like, oh, we might see this in a comic book. Newest pins are at the top, oldest ones are on the bottom. Let's see what we got in the bottom here, actually. See, like this ballerina shot. It's like, I don't. When is that ever going to be in a comic book? That was a bad pin. We're gonna, instead of part of the reason why I felt like yesterday was a little off the rails is because we bit off a little more than we can chew, and then we spent too much time on it. So today we're going to try to not do that. Pick something a little easier. So let's just start with this one. Try to loosen up a little. Warm the hand. Physically warm it because it is cold in my apartment. I got a clock that has like a temperature gauge in it. And the temperature gauge is bad. It always says it's like 10 degrees warmer than it actually is. as always, I recommend putting on your own music because a lot of this stream is probably going to be pretty quiet. I can already tell I feel a little looser today than I did yesterday. Yesterday I'm going to count as a little bit of a fluke. I am listening to something that came out today, actually. A deluxe edition of Blonde Shell's album Another Picture. I like that album. The deluxe is 2 discs. It's got some like additional tracks with like guests on them. Looks like I was just looking at her shoulders. I was trying to figure out if her shoulders were straight or slightly tilted, but I think they're pretty straight. But then her torso is like tilted, so like something like this. And then her hips are pretty like something like this, maybe. It's tough to see from this photo because she's actually kind of like covering up most of the curves with her limbs. She's also like leaning on this thing, so I'm gonna do shoulders here ish, and then this straight down because she's leaning on it. We have like foreshortened arm there. Probably also like that. Getting caught up in details when I don't need to be. And she got her other hand on top of this one. Something kind of like that. It's a little tough to see. There's an extra finger in there. I think I'm gonna kind of adjust how the hand is a little bit, maybe. Just got kind of like these gloves on. Noodling on the hands a little bit, but that's fine. And the wrist kind of like goes to the side. Her other elbow is above where the railing would be, so we're gonna put the railing in. So like here ish. I'm already feeling like way better about this drawing than all of yesterday's drawings. Sometimes you hit the bar and sometimes the bar hits you. Can't see her feet. This is like one fluid line right here. Trying to get these folds correct. Something like this. Starting to feel pretty good about this. A lot more solid than yesterday. Let's put in a little bit of detail. I still can't decide if these are going to make it over to my YouTube channel or not. YouTube.com/NickPhil. Not because I'm not like, because I'm like, oh, I don't want these over there, gotta hide them or something like that. But just because like, I don't know, it's weird because it's like I'm broadcasting these. I probably should put them on the YouTube channel, but I'm also like, well, I don't know. It's not really like it's finished work or anything, but just thinking about it. Man, this Blonde Shell album's really good. What's up, JP? How you doing? Experimenting with this stream by leaving my VPN on, so we'll see how the quality and everything is. It looks like it's good though. Zero drop frames. Was thinking on Wednesdays we could do this, and then also take a look at new comics coming out. One of my buddies at my old shop in Philly, this guy Brian, for Brave New Worlds, does a thing on his their YouTube where they just do here's every new number one coming out, and I tend to watch it as often as I remember and can watch it. And I was thinking, maybe we should end Wednesday stream. Whoop. End Wednesday streams with like, hey, we're gonna do, see what the new number ones are. See what Brian says, and then I can be like, oh, this one looks good. Maybe worth picking up. Kind of celebrate comics a little bit. Could be fun. I don't know if I'm necessarily really happy with these eyes, but we're gonna roll with it. Man, one of the other things that I'm like kind of bad at in general is portraiture. Why does it keep snapping like that? What's up, man? Is this snap on? No, snap is not on. That's weird. I don't know. So she has like kind of an upturned nose. You might not be able to see it in the... But we're going to try to... Might end up overworking this thing. You've gotten very bad at knowing what's cut. Yeah, you used to be on it because you were working in a shop, right? Maybe we won't do the upturned nose because I'm not great at faces. Man, I do feel like I'm overworking this, but it's fine. Yeah, now you're mainly trying to stay on top of Final Order Cutoff. Yeah. It's funny, I try to stay on top of Final Order Cutoff for my own books as well. And man, sometimes you just can't. Like I was so focused on like powers coming out that Murder Podcast got out from under me. Like they were coming out on the same day. I didn't even realize, and then I watched my buddy Brian's thing, and it was like, "Hey, Powers is a new number one," and then it was like, "Oh, also Murder Podcast is coming." I was like, "Oh man!" Like, just the thing that screwed me up is that like I'm on issue 5 of Murder Podcast, and issue 9 of Powers. So, in my mind, they were like coming out very far apart from each other, like 4 months apart. But that was not the case. We're giving this girl big ears, even though she does not have big ears. Doing cool faces is hard. Yeah. Yeah, the body is at scale where I don't have to like really get into the weeds of the faces. Um, Especially working that far ahead. Yeah, yeah. Well, that far ahead, I was like, oh, I got Powers is coming out, but I got plenty of time before Murder Podcast, and it was like, oh no, actually they're both coming out on the same day. I'm just way further ahead on Powers. Kind of trying to play with a little bit with a line weight in here. I don't know if it's gonna work or not, but we're just gonna experiment. Just kind of wanted to tool around. This is the thing, is like I always get, whenever I use like reference, I always get caught up in like, oh well, it looks like this, so we might as well paint this in. But really, it's like, I don't know, we gotta like abstract a little bit, right? I mean, we probably should be abstracting a little bit. That's not what I wanted. So the pants, we're just going to do solid color and then kind of like try to paint in some folds and stuff. But I kind of want to keep it like a little bit gritty, a little bit loose. Part of like um, what I've been thinking about like while doing this stuff is that like I've always felt, and maybe this is like because of, my recent diagnosis with ADD. By the way, every time I bring it up, I feel like, oh, I'm talking about that too much. But it's like so many things are falling into place about it that I feel like I keep being like, oh, here's a piece of that I did not know about. Here's another piece of that I didn't know about. Um, so like full apologies if I'm being insufferable about it. But because like I just really love comics and I love like a lot of different kinds of comics, I felt like it was just really hard to find my voice within it because I just wanted to like try everything, every technique, every style, that kind of thing. Um, so when I was like drawing regularly in school, it was just like really, really hard for me to be like, okay, where do I fit into this? Like, what do I actually want? That kind of thing. And I think that some of that is just like I was not drawing enough yet at that point, and but I still, I still feel that like, I don't know, maybe that feeling like never totally goes away. Like I wonder if other artists also feel like that. Like I wonder how long it takes for that. Like people talk about imposter syndrome, and it took me probably like personally like a solid 4 year 5 years to not be like, okay, I'm gonna be flipping burgers like at any point, like comics are good for 4 months until I start flipping burgers, and then it was like solid 5 years of work before I was like, oh, actually, maybe I won't be flipping burgers. Um, Not that there's any shame in flipping burgers. I was like ready to do it. Anything to survive. Uh, I don't know if her is this knee like too. Hold on, we're gonna try to carve this one in a little. Make it a little straighter. Maybe this one's a little. I kind of want to like extend the legs a little bit. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Of like, just tall, make it tall. Same thing, but make it tall. You know. And put in. All right, I think I'm gonna call this one like fun little sketch. Um, all right, we're gonna put her in the corner up here. Oh yeah, especially when you come from an unstable financial background. Yeah. Because I was definitely when I was a kid. Um, we're gonna go back to our pins, our saved pins. Maybe try pick a dude. Let's pick a dude. Um, yeah, I without getting like too much into it, I did not realize like how much of that I was putting on myself at the time too, of like I have to make this work because I was like I can't do, and I didn't know I had ADHD at the time. Um, we're really gonna we're really gonna work this head apparently. Let me try again. Let me shut up and focus. So normally with a head, like eye levels here, and then top of ear, ear, bottom of nose, that kind of thing. Like these things line up, these things line up. But he's tilting his head and kind of like pushing it away from us. So you have like top of the head and then like a kind of perspective to the thing. So it's like, okay, how do we figure out like where the ear goes, where the nose goes, and then like you kind of have to like build it a little bit. Um, and then it also makes the brow look deeper than normal. And it's like you get to like this point where it's like a ton of technical stuff, and I'm like, how do I turn this into like a fucking drawing? Like like how do we go from here to a drawing? And like the truth is, man, I don't know. I'm figuring it out. Um, Yo, what's up, Hulk Hoquin? How you doing, bud? So I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Do we just try to drop this back and then draw on top of it, I guess? Try to make sense of it? It's also like I think the more that I think about it, the more that like I'm making it harder for myself, like in my own head a little too much, maybe. That's the other thing that like I kept like wrestling with while I was in school was that like at a certain point you just like I don't know, just draw the thing. Like do you have to know where like all the orbital sockets are and stuff? It's like I don't know that you actually do. Like we're cartooning, you know? You gonna try the meme angle? I don't know, maybe. The undershot. It's a tough shot. To be fair, it's a tough shot. So like, I'm sweating like where the skull is. I'm all over the place here, clearly. But then I'm like, who cares? It's gonna be hair. Uh, had to ban a bot. I also used to like really sweat like when I was drawing um getting hair correct. Um and like I just don't think it matters that much. Like draw it cool. Like I just started like gesturing it in rather than like really messing with it. And I'm like, that's all we need to do. The problem is I have like '90s comics like drilled into my skull, and uh, it's like let's do you know giant flowing like Medusa hair, and I'm like, we don't have to do that. The lips look a little feminine, but I don't know. The guy's got big lips. Man, lips are tough for me too. Man, drawing is hard, huh? Anyway, we have the head in. Let's focus on the body. We're going to shrink the head because I'm a little afraid I'm going to run out of space here. Yeah, Hogarth wanted to show every single joint and every single... Yeah, and it's like, bro, I don't need all this. Like... And it also felt like the more that I learned in school, like, the worse of a cartoonist I started becoming, because I was like, well, all these pieces line up like this, so I have to, like, make space for all of them. And then it was like, just started, like, falling apart really easily. I don't know. Not to, like, harp on school, because, you know, I also did get a lot out of it, but, like, it was just like, I don't know. There's certain artists that, like, need to know where every muscle is, and there's certain artists that don't, and, you know, I don't know. Maybe you don't. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's gonna mess me up if I do. I don't know. Trying to figure out where the torso goes. He's also kind of like, hips are like leaning back way more than I thought they were. More like this. The legs are foreshortened. We're just going to gesture some stuff in. I don't know if we're going to keep it. Just trying to get, like, the shape in there. Yeah, managing a structure like Tetris. The problem is that, like, with all that extra knowledge, is that you don't, when it's taught to you, it's like, okay, here's where all the pieces are. But when you start to think about, like, how comics are made, you're drawing people at, like, normally in a comic book, at, like, 3 stages of depth. Like, very, like, you have, like, you know, your panel. Let's draw like a quick panel here. And you've got, like, this stage of, like, guy standing here talking, right? You got your headshot. And then you have, like, the full body shot of, like, you know, there's hips, there's legs. Maybe it's like Spider-Man swinging, you know, you got webbing and his, I don't know. What's he doing with this other arm? Maybe like this. And he's spider senses going off, you know? Yeah, feet back here, feet back here. Something like that. And it's like city. And it's like, okay, that's at another depth, you know, which it requires like a different level of mark making and detail, because you're not going to go like crazy detailed on you don't need to know like where like the ocular sockets are and like stuff like that for that kind of shot. And then the last like level of detail is like hyper small, the halls of the dwarves in Lord of the Rings, and you got your party, and they're like this big, and they got a little torch, you know, and they're in awe of the hall, you know, and your party's like down here. It's like you barely need to know anything for that. So it's like when you're learning anatomy, it's like here's where all the pieces are, and then when you're actually using it in practice in a comic book, you're like, okay, well, I have to figure out how to cartoon these 3 depths with the knowledge of the anatomy that I have. And that's like kind of like a weird thing to figure out. you know, because you're like, how do I draw a person at like three different sizes kind of thing? Where's the elbow? Elbow's like here? No, by his ear. This is a weird shot for the arm because of the way everything is working out. But I think we can figure it out. I'm just gonna kind of gesture it in. I'm not thinking about where the hands and stuff are gonna go. Oh my god, maybe we should figure out where we're going before we start drawing how to get there. We're gonna shrink this a little more while I figure out the hands. I'm like, how does this... What is he even doing with his hands? It's like palms up, and then he's like kind of cracking the hands. We're just gonna like kind of gesture him in, because like, oh man, I don't want to figure this out. This is such a weird pose. I think this is where we're going, but this looks weird. Elbow here. I don't know if the elbow here is wrong. Like here. Maybe even higher. It's like a slightly above the eye line. I actually think, you know, if you're doing close-ups of the hands are tougher than doing like further away, because you can kind of like in comics when you do like hands and it's at a distance, unless it's like Spider-Man slinging webs, then you're doing like weird freaking hands. Um, uh, this is such a weird pose. I don't know why we picked this. This is a mistake. It was a mistake to come here. Um, but like you can kind of start to get away with like at a distance with like, you know, stuff like this. I don't know. This is a terrible example, but like, you know, you just kind of like take this, kind of like, yeah, I don't know. That is a terrible hand. Don't, you know, don't live like me. I don't know. Maybe they're hard no matter what. Maybe I'm eating a little bit of crow right now. Also, this whole pose is so weird. You know what? This guy never existed. We're just gonna... So weird. I think because I'm using like a thick line, it's looking weird. Let's just let's just gesture the rest in and call it on this guy and move on to something else. We not getting better overnight, that's for sure. Not getting better at this overnight. I'm just gonna put him right up here. Write a quick note of, oh no. Pick something else. See what else is offered here. See, it's like stuff like this. I don't know. Can you see this one? Let me see. You can't. But just like bad, like interesting poses to like draw, but kind of bad poses to make for comics with like comics in mind, because it's not very casual. It doesn't look very good. Like this one's like a pretty great like picture. It feels like the kind of stretch you have to do in real life before trying to draw it. Yeah, for sure. Like so she's kind of like leaning forward a little. And then like kind of hunched over. So we're gonna try to like, this is actually deceptively difficult because we got like kind of like this perspective with the floor kind of thing, and then a lot of what her anatomy is like covered by clothing, which we can kind of use to our advantage for sure. But let's try to figure it out a little bit. Like shoulder is here, and then elbows here. So something like that. And then sometimes too I'm like, should I be thinking about drawing stuff like this in like chunks, like just like gesture, arm in, um hand, stuff like this, like block it out kind of thing, rather than um rather than drawing. I don't know. We're gonna try to figure that out. Sometimes when I watch like other people draw, it feels very like like they're like blocking it in like a painting. I guess it's just different approaches. So like the leg is like pretty close to the elbow back here, and then we're gonna foreshorten a little this way. And it's like Indian style. It's like kind of a little weird to draw, but we have her scarf covering her pelvis area, and then like her hips come out this way, and we get like the knee like right here, so we really don't have to worry about that thing is like so foreshortened that we basically don't have to worry about it. And then the rest of the leg is this way, cuff here, shoe. And then it's like sweater. This looks like madness right now, but we're going to try to make it not be madness in a minute. Sweater. Then we'll do sweater back here because she's got like this big sweater on. All right, we're going to try to make this not look like madness. Fade it way back. Kind of use this as just the structure. Trying to find that line's tough. And then we have hair to cover up stuff. Excellent, excellent. Just covering up anatomy is fantastic. Noodles. My fill and fade fill on my little like number pad thing that came with my Huon tablet are right above where do like little berets in her hair. They're right above make the brush bigger or smaller, so I accidentally hit them like all the time. And I only have myself to blame for that, but I'm still like, I don't know, getting used to this thing. Ooh. I'm goofing the eyes. We can zoom in a little. Definitely into that second disc on this Blonde Shell Deluxe Edition. They're playing like weird versions of her songs now that I haven't heard before. It's pretty good. Would recommend. We've got headphones down here. But they're pretty obscured. I'm not going to sweat them too much. See, like this kind of abstraction makes sense to me with like the headphones where I'm like, okay, black chunk, white chunk, done. Like looks like a headphone. Uh, which is why I think that like the way that like regular drawing is like maybe doesn't make sense to me because I've just been coloring for so long. Which is like kind of weird. You like this one? Feels like Charles Burns. Yeah, high contrast. Yeah. Definitely having a better day than yesterday's drawings. I also really, really like putting kind of like a sketchy, loose thing next to like a tighter drawing. That makes sense to me. That feels right, and it feels fun, which is I think the like noticing what feels fun probably a good place to be. I mean, the hands we can kind of like gesture in. Do we gotta put the noodles in? We made the noodles too big. Definitely should get better at hands at some point. The hand looks kind of rough, but it's kind of a weird angle, an odd pose. What if we... Will this fix it? Maybe. Kind of. Well... Pull thumb up here. Chopsticks. My dog's crying in the background while she's sleeping. If you're like, what the hell is that noise? Hand looks weird. Didn't make it better. I need to change it a little. Better. See, this is the fine line to walk. Is that like now I've put so much damn gray on it and like mark making that I'm like starting to lose the form. Um, so we're gonna try to fix that, but not without piling more form onto it. It's kind of a weird leg. Like I don't know if it's totally working because there's not a lot of like. It's coming right at us, and there's no like really well defined knee. Maybe just like try to wrap some. So let's put the other shoe that's like kind of peeking out here. I had fun with that one. It's like, I don't know. It's not great, but it's, I don't know, kind of fun, kind of interesting, like, which is kind of what I'm going for. Um, Thanks, JP. Probably one of my more successful ones on stream. I'm gonna put her over there. Maybe do one more. Well, how long have we been going? 112. Minimum one more. Maybe we won't do portrait. Although there's a quick one that I kind of want to attempt. This one. I just kind of like the pose. Because you don't really get a lot of like posing that it's like from behind like this. Like I don't see a lot of it on Pinterest. Maybe we'll do backgrounds tomorrow. I think the key for me personally is to just like be as loose as possible when we're gesturing in the form and then like worry about everything else later. Let's move the forearm. The t-shirt is so weird on this because it's like there's a seam here and then it kind of just like it has like a little taper. And then it's like baggy. We'll do the bag. Speaking of baggy, I think it's a skirt on her. I don't necessarily want to do the full body, but I thought it was like a pretty fun, like here in the face. I feel like that was like a pretty like interesting vibe. It's like super blocky. I don't know if it totally works. I think maybe like a wider. Like, I wonder if we just have to go wider. Just a touch. Yeah, it works a little better. We gotta mess with the front just a little bit to get the... Yeah, there we go. Let's work on the face a little better. Also, man, Pinterest really likes serving me up people in Japan. Just really loves it. I don't know why. Thumb's wrong. Thumb's like barely there. But the problem is, it's like, if we're going to make it in like two gestures, they have to be the exact right two gestures. Kind of a weird hand, but I'm alright with it. Better weird than not at all. How does it look zoomed out? Weird. It looks weird. Yeah, I think I'm not like... Alright, let's back up. Think about this for a little bit. Headphone. Palm. Far away and touristy place, the appeal of Japan. Yeah, for sure. here's the thing that's different kind of thing. All right, let's do one more because I feel like we're warm. That one was fun. I don't know if it was as successful as I wanted it to be. Maybe we might revisit it. Um, let's do like a pretty dynamic one, maybe. Maybe a challenging one. How about this one? A lot of perspective here. All right. Let's move her over a little more. Got the hype now, yeah. We'll see. I mean, this may be a total disaster, but, you know, I want to challenge myself. So I'm trying to think of, like, you know, like, here's the... Trying to get everything in perspective. Hips. Knee. We may have to move around some stuff. Usually I shrink these guys. I don't know why I didn't shrink her. Kind of put her aside. There we go. Kind of a twisted hand here. It's kind of interesting. This is like a very I feel like this is like a Wanda Maximoff pose kind of thing. Man, yeah, getting warmed up is definitely a thing because, like, this is a pretty tough pose, and I'm like, oh yeah, I get it, I can see it. No hair to cover the skull anatomy this time. Unfortunately. The head is the Freeran meme, kind of. I feel like it's pretty close. She doesn't have as a prominent chin as the Freerin meme. All right. I think I'm going to call that for today and get to work a little bit. Um, if you like this stream, you know, like, subscribe, all that stuff. We're going to be sketching again tomorrow. We're going to try to sketch as much as we possibly can every day around noonish in order to try to get better at this. Trying to get better at art. Just trying to like do a lot of loose practice and eventually work our way to some finished products probably, but like for now just trying to figure out how to draw, what to draw, figure everything out. Thanks for joining me. See you tomorrow.